Hey guys, what's going on? Space Cowboy here. Welcome back to the channel. I have another video for you guys today. Before we begin today's video, if you guys could, please make sure to leave a like, smash the like button. It helps the channel out a lot. Makes a massive difference for something that only takes you a second to do. Also, if you're new here and want some more Cowboys content, by all means, you can subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when I post new content. So, as you can see, a bit of a new backdrop. Added a couple pieces here and there. Hope you guys like it. You know, trying to see what I can add. I know that there's limited room around here, and with the chair, it's kind of hard to, put stuff around, even though there's a lot more room. But I digress. Hope you guys enjoy the backdrop and stuff like that. So, I wanted to have a discussion about this Dallas Cowboys offensive line. What has been one of the worst parts of this season has been the Cowboys offensive line. With the injuries suffered to the offensive line, the Cowboys haven't been really able to muster anything when it comes to a running game, as well as just not having time to throw the football. And this was happening with Dak Prescott, this was happening with Andy Dalton, and whoever else was back there. And there are a multitude of reasons for that occurring. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say that this forebodes or this can, this can disregard any bad play from Zeke fumbling the football, certain quarterbacks throwing interceptions or having bad quarterback play. I'm not trying to insinuate, because again, they still have to do their job. But at the same time, it's very hard for them to really do what they can do when the offensive line hasn't been stabilized. So I wanted to just have a little brief discussion about how I feel about the offensive line right now, what we've seen, and then after that, just talk about how I feel like the future of the offensive line looks and why in 2021 I do believe the Cowboys offense will have a resurgence because of having returning players as well as possible prospects there. Now, first things first, what happened this year? Well, we know that the first domino to fall was La'el Collins not being able, he had the hip surgery, but we didn't know what was going on with him. He got into the car wreck. He didn't show up to training camp or at all. He just wasn't there. So that first domino was La'el Collins, who was coming off arguably his best season in 2019. The Cowboys gave him a 5-year extension, and that was hands down a really damn good decision to make. Because La'el has been a staple now at the right tackle position, and he's been getting better. And with the hip surgery, I don't know what's going to happen with him. Even if he's 70 or 80% of his full potential, that's still a hell of a lot better than what we have on this roster right now. That's just the first thing. But that was the first domino to fall. And so you have a guy in Terrence Steele that's been terrible. They just plug him in there. I don't know if it's just they want to try and develop him. I don't know. So I can't really tell you. So there's that. So the next thing, I believe the next issue that occurred was Tyron Smith. I keep forgetting when he got hurt, but he ends up getting hurt. He's out for a couple weeks. And then he has a setback with his neck, and now he's out for the season. So that's the next domino that falls. Then you have issues with this. Now, the center position, we lose Joe Looney, but the thing was we've been wanting Tyler Biadasz to come in and play that position because he has a higher ceiling than Joe Looney, and it showed. When he was able to get on the football field, Tyler Biadasz was definitely an upgrade at center, and he was playing fairly well. Unfortunately, he then ended up getting hurt, so that's another issue that you have there. So at center, you don't have anything good there. You have solid play, but at the end of the day, you could have had a better player, but he got hurt. Then at guard, the next thing that happens is Zach Martin. He gets shuffled around, and then eventually he gets hurt. He just got hurt in this recent game. And I believe in the Washington game, he was out with a concussion too. So that's another thing as well, as that was another issue. But there was a bright spot with Connor McGovern coming in, and he was able to see some playing time. And he definitely looked, in his first game, iffy, but solid. And then he started looking good once he kind of had some... When the line was able to be stable, Minnesota was probably, given the circumstances we're in and in the stretch of games we're in, was probably the best form of the offensive line we saw. And I forgot to mention at left tackle, also losing Brandon Knight, because Brandon Knight was doing his thing. He was being a very solid, backup. And honestly, I think if Tyron were to retire, I would not be shocked if Brandon Knight gets the start at left tackle. I think, look, he's developed very nicely. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-pro or a Pro Bowl, but if he can at least do his job, which I forget, but early on in the season, he was graded as one of the better tackles in the league. I'm not making this up. You can look it up yourself. If we can just, it doesn't have to be that good, but if he can just be serviceable or even good, at best great, but let's just say at best good, that's fine with me. But with him out, then you have to resort to Cameron Ervin, who's just been mediocre at best. And it's just been a lot of that. So in Minnesota, if I remember, it was Cameron Ervin. At left guard, you had Connor Williams. Center, you had Joe Looney. Right guard, you had Connor McGovern. And at right tackle, you had Zach Martin. And that was the best the offensive line played the entire season without, Dak Prescott being in the lineup. And that was a massive turning point, because I think the reason why the offensive line played better was because you got rid of the bad play. Like, Terrence Steele, right, should only be like, he's there because someone just isn't there. And unfortunately, when he got inserted back into the game versus Washington, or into the season, with Washington, the Thanksgiving game, things fell apart. And it wasn't like the offense was still able to move, but he wasn't holding up his end, and thus that caused the entire offense to not really do well. Because when you lose your 2 starting tackles in a game like that, that's not good. that is not good at all. And so and it's hard to win games like that. And I'm not trying to sit here and create excuses for Dallas, because again, you have to win with what you have. But that is something you have to look at. Okay? So now, here we are. The offensive line has shifted once again. We haven't had any stability with the offensive line, and that has been the biggest difference from last year to this year. Last year, Dak Prescott didn't get sacked a whole lot. I believe he was bottom of the league in terms of sacks, which was good. Not only that, he was able to do his thing, and the line had very little. The worst it ever got was you didn't have La'el Collins and Tyron Smith for one game, if I recall, or a couple games. But my point is that you were able to have a stable offensive line for the most part, and didn't have to worry about going to the 3rd, 4th string guys. So the question now becomes, what does Dallas go with going forward? So first, let me go ahead and switch the screen here. Got a blank screen here. So this is currently the offensive line, to my knowledge, as of this recording, which is December 3rd of 2020. Okay, as we go into the Baltimore game. You have Brandon Knight at left tackle, Connor Williams at left guard, Joe Looney at center, Connor McGovern at right guard, and Terrence Steele at right tackle. Okay, that is your lineup going forward. Now, again, this is without any new information on who's starting, who's going to be out, because Zach Martin and Cameron Ervin are out for multiple weeks, and odds are they won't come back till the very last game of the season. At that point, you might as well just keep them out. So here's the thing. So you have a backup left tackle who's been pretty solid given the circumstances. To kind of have a comparison, it's basically when Joe Looney stepped in for Travis Frederick in 2018. It's kind of like that type of thing where it's like he's good / serviceable, but you can definitely do better and upgrade there. Connor Williams, I'm sorry, he's not it. He's not built to be a guard. It's just he just always loses those interior battles from what I've seen. I'm not saying because there are moments where he holds up his own, but again, you can definitely upgrade at left guard. He's been probably one of the only stable positions, the only guy that's been there the entire time. And it's just, again, he has not been what you wanted, and the fact is we need someone with more power at that position, and he's not built for that. I know he tried to bulk up. I'm sorry, man, this is his 3rd year Yeah, his third year starting, and he still has the same issues. Joe Looney is Joe Looney. He's a backup, in my opinion, at this point. And again, he has his issues as well. And I feel like, you can only do so much with him. So, okay, fine. But still, there's that. Now you have Connor McGovern starting at right guard. He's probably one of your bright spots on this offensive line because he's been able to hold up his own as he's played more games. Yes, he's had a couple hiccups, and not everyone's perfect, but he's probably the guy you want to give the most reps to. And then, as you can see by the picture, look, sorry, Terrence Steele is straight up hot garbage. The guy is Chaz Green all over again. He's just terrible, man. He's just a turnstile. I hate, look, I know he's much better than me, more physical, way better built than I am, and me being a scrawny-ass dude. But I'm sorry, this man is terrible at right tackle. And this is the offensive line you have right now. You are not going to win many games. So the question is what are we looking for next year in terms of this offensive line? Well, the first thing is you have Tyron Smith. Well, again, I'm just going off of what the Cowboys are saying and what reports are saying. And I'm not saying this is true because I still have my doubts. So this is what your offensive line you got. Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith, as of this current juncture, right, you have a situation to where he could possibly retire, but also they feel good about it. But again, that's usually when the Cowboys say stuff like that. You should take that for the complete opposite. So I'm just going under the assumption, as of right now, until he says something, he's coming back, but also, again, there is a possibility he can walk. So you have Tyron Smith, right? He's coming back. That's an instant upgrade over what you have now, regardless of his availability. Even when he's at 70 or 80%, hell, even 50, 60%, he's your best left tackle given who you have playing there right now. Next, we're going to skip the left guard position because I'll get to that momentarily because you have options. Next, you have Tyler Biadasz, right? You look at Tyler Biadasz. Tyler Biadasz has been another bright spot for this Dallas Cowboys offensive line. And the time he's been playing, he's looked good. And I think you have something there. Could he be Pro Bowl caliber? If he continues to do well. And again, this is exactly what the Cowboys need to be doing in the draft. They need to be able to find guys outside of the first round to start and play quality football so that we don't have to spend first-round draft capital on guards and tackle. I'm not saying that that you shouldn't do that, but you should be able to spend that first-round pick elsewhere, and you should be able to use your late-round picks on guys that can give you solid production, right? Like if you can get a guy that can play like a Ronald Leary at left guard with your third or fourth round picks, that's great. That's what you need. Then you have Zach Martin. Again, Zach Martin, he's most likely coming back. He is coming back. The hell am I talking about? Zach Martin, he's your guy at right guard, okay? And I understand, the thing is he has the flexibility to play on any position of the offensive line, in my opinion, and based off of and he looked good at right tackle, but I think based on what happened when he got hurt, because I had to go back and watch that, I think it's because of him he was playing out of position. I'm not trying to, it's just, it didn't really pan out, and I think that he's more built to be guard, but you can use him at right tackle, because he's done very well at right tackle. I don't want to sit here and say it's bad, because he's played right tackle, and he's helped you stabilize that line. The game against Seattle is a nice example of that as well. So, again, there's that. And then finally you have La'el Collins. La'el Collins, he's going to be coming back. He's like 27. I think he'll be turning 28 next year. Again, the hip surgery is a big question. Is he going to be the same? Is he going to be at least somewhat at a caliber level? Like, can he be a guy that you can rely on? And with the money you just gave him, I have a little bit of faith that he'll be okay. but I am bracing for a drop-off. And even if the drop-off is to where he goes from 100 to 90 to 80%, that's still pretty good with what you have. So now the question is, and as you can see, like, you can look at the comparisons, like, that offensive line you have at the top with what you have now is a hell, like, when you look at the comparisons, it's not even close. Okay, so if the Cowboys are going into next year and these 4 guys at the bottom are your starting offensive line, now the question is, what do you do at left guard? Now, for me, if it were up to me, you would take Connor McGovern and you put him at left guard, okay? He, in my opinion, is the best for the job there, and he shows what you've been missing at that position. Having someone that can handle those interior pass rushers and defensive tackles, and you got a guy that has a lot, he's just built to be a guard, okay? Connor Williams is not built to be a guard. Now, again, I should add this caveat, too. Given Dallas's draft position, there is a possibility that they could get Penei Sewell, okay? And, you have him, and I'll, pull him up. I don't think you could see him, but there he is. I'll pull him up here. Now the question is what if you have a guy like that? Okay, let's just use him as a hypothetical situation. It doesn't have to be him. It could just be a prospect in general. Okay. Now here's a question: if Tyron does retire, let's just say Tyron he retires. Sure, you can maybe play him. I still think he'll be a good, based off of the information I've received and listened, and just I'm trying to take in as much information about this these draft prospects, because I think that it's important we listen, and I'm trying to know what we can do draft capital wise, because once draft season starts, I'm talking about maybe trading down or what we can do to manage our draft, because you got to go with the best. And if he's the best guy on your board, and by some miracle you have the 3rd overall pick or the 4th overall pick, I would not be upset if Dallas took him. So there's that, but then there has also been talk, and I believe Vach Lombardi, in case you don't know, if you're new and you don't know who I'm referring to, I believe Vach has also provided an idea in which you take Sewell, you shift him in, you push him into play left guard, and this is your offensive line. And me personally, whatever the case may be, I do think that the bottom is definitely my dream lineup. I would love to see this. And hell, even if Tyron does retire and you want to play Sewell at left tackle, I think he'll be solid and he'll be good. And, who knows? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe that's what he's meant to play. Well, then, it's his position. The hell am I talking about? But again, this really comes down to how you want to go into next season. And again, if the hypothetical situation, and even if it's not Sewell, even if you decide we're going to take a left guard prospect at some point in this draft, if this is your lineup going into next year, I would not be opposed to that. And I think that the bottom, again, is the dream scenario. Dallas, if they're able to get Tyron to remain at least somewhat healthy, you keep Brandon Knight as the backup, and if that's your bottom offensive line and they stay relatively healthy, Dallas is going to be a force next year, because that offensive line needs to be rebuilt. They need to recover. They need to be able to rest and recover. So, again, taking away that top part so that you can get a final look at what we're looking at. I would love to see that bottom offensive line. Will it happen? Probably not, because I think that Cowboys will finish as high as 4 and Sewell will be out of reach. But again, if it's a prospect there, or hell, maybe they don't want to take a guy like him. You know what you do? Take Connor McGovern, you slot him right there. So I think I've gone on for long enough, almost 20 minutes, just having this discussion with you guys. So if you want to, and you like this conversation and stuff like that, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe for more content from me. And also, please make sure to hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss out on more content from me now and in the future. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, guys? Have a great one. Bye-bye.